Hello, and welcome to today's video. Our focus is on analyzing the casualties in the Israel-Hamas conflict and the broader implications of modern warfare on civilian populations. This video examines the heavy and complex topic of civilian casualties in modern warfare, using the Israel-Hamas conflict as a case study. The goal is to provide a nuanced perspective on the nature of civilian casualties and the destruction caused by urban warfare, with an observational analysis of historical military operations and their impact on civilians, without delving into broader political debates. And although that may sound complicated, let's just dive right into it. We start by examining the current casualty figures from both sides of the conflict. It's reported that on October 7th, during a Hamas attack, 1,139 people were killed in Israel. CNN reports that as of the time of this recording, 27,365 Gazans have died during the Israeli operations in Gaza. Let's break down these numbers further and understand their significance. U.S. intelligence agencies, according to the Wall Street Journal, estimate that 20 to 30% of Hamas fighters have been killed. Given Hamas's initial force of around 30,000, a 25% fatality rate indicates that approximately 7,500% of the casualties in Gaza were Hamas operatives. This equates to 27.4% of all fatalities in Gaza being combatants. In contrast, on October 7th, it's reported that 373 of the 1,139 Israelis killed were security personnel, making up 32.7% of the deaths. These statistics reveal that the majority of those lost in this conflict have been civilians, with a notable similarity in the percentage of combat fatalities between the two sides being a difference of just 5.3%. I'd also like to add a disclaimer and clarify that Israeli combatant deaths after October 7th are not included in this analysis, due to the significant shift in the nature of interactions between Israelis and Gazans post-invasion. Currently, the Israeli military has the capability to be walking down the streets of Gaza interacting with both civilians and Hamas operatives. Hamas, besides from October 7th, no longer has that capability, so interactions will be significantly less for Hamas to deal with civilian populations. And that is why I don't include the Israeli combatant deaths after October 7th. So now let's contextualize these figures with the historical and modern precedents of civilian casualties during military operations. The United Nations reports that historically, 90% of wartime casualties were civilians when explosive weaponry was used. For a more tangible comparison, let's look at the Korean War. According to the United Kingdom Army Museum, out of the approximately 3.1 million deaths, 2 million were estimated to be civilians, making a civilian fatality rate of 63.5%. Examining similar urban environments to the Israel-Hamas conflict sheds further light on the matter of civilian casualties in modern warfare. The Battle for Mosul and Raqqa against ISIS stand as stark examples. In the Battle of Mosul, reports vary widely, but Iraqi officials and various media outlets provide estimates that hint at the scale of the conflict and its toll on the civilian populace. For instance, Iraqi officials estimated that between 7,000 and 26,000 ISIS fighters were killed. CNN, however, suggests the presence of 4,500 to 7,500 fighters in the city, with other sources mainly estimating between 3,000 to 12,000 fighters. For the purpose of our analysis, adopting a median estimate of 7,500 fighters provides a realistic perspective on the combatant numbers, as besides from Iraqi figures, which I believe are slightly biased, most reports were between the mentioned 3,000 to 12,000 figure. The Battle for Raqqa, similarly, was catastrophic in terms of human cost. The UK Parliament reports that 2,400 civilians died, a figure that aligns with most accounts of the siege. While it's challenging to ascertain the exact number of combatants killed, the civilian death toll is widely recognized to exceed 2,000, signifying that a majority of those who lost their lives were not engaged in the fighting as combatants. Despite the difficulty in obtaining precise data, if we want to use the estimates provided, the ratio of civilian deaths paints a grim picture. Approximately 54% of those killed in the Battle of Mosul were believed to be civilians, according to AP, and when examining Raqqa, the civilian casualty rate was roughly 63%, a testament to the severe and disproportionate effects of warfare on urban civilian populations. Furthermore, the physical destruction wrought by these battles is illustrative of the broader impact of such conflicts. According to the BBC, approximately 50% of buildings in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged, mirroring the destruction observed in other urban battlefields. For instance, 80% of Old Mosul, the epicenter of the conflict, suffered damage or was destroyed. Amnesty International reports that the level of destruction in Raqqa reached a staggering 70%, and UNITAR reports that in Old Aleppo, 30% of buildings were damaged or destroyed. These figures not only highlight the loss of life, but also the extensive material damage that contributes to the long-term suffering of survivors. This brings us to the crux of our discussion. Warfare is undeniably brutal and disproportionately affects civilians. While it is valid to critique the handling of civilian casualties during conflict, the current situation in Gaza is not an outlier when compared to historical instances or other examples of urban warfare. All civilian deaths are a tragedy, but when examining this from a historical and operational perspective, Gaza is no outlier in the tragedy that has been happening for the past few months. Just want to say thank you for watching. It is our hope that this video has shed light on the tragic realities of war and its disproportionate impact on civilian populations, and I hope this video has enlightened and educated some people. Have a great day.